All right, good evening, everybody. I want to call this regular meeting of the Peterborough Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is now 7:01 p.m. Today is Thursday, December 14th, 2023. First item is roll call. I'm Tony Baldock, Chairman. Lisa DeMaria,
Here.
Fred Jordan,
Here.
Alan Parody was here.
Here.
There you go. Jonathan Kastner,
Here.
Stan Reinheimer, Brian Phillips,
Present.
and Daniel Smith.
Here.
And me.
forgive- Oh, Marion, I totally skipped you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So I do have to seat. I think I seated Daniel last time, so I think I'll seat Brian this time. In place of Stan.
Actually, Tony, it's Brian. I was seated last month.
Okay,
Doesn't matter to me either way, but if you're trying to keep it,
I am. So
Straight.
then I'll
Yeah.
seat Daniel for Stan this time.
That's fine. Thanks, Brian.
let you get your hacks in, Dan.
All right, on to item 2. Audience of citizens. Citizens may address the commission on items that are not listed on the agenda. I saw a couple of people in here that I didn't recognize, so if you guys have anything, speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, on to item 3, approval of the minutes, October 19, 2023 meeting minutes. Everybody have a chance to look at them? If so, looking for a motion.
I'll motion that. Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Actually, Brian, because you're not seated, you can't.
Oh, that's right. I'm forgetting. Right.
Motion we
I'll
accept.
move.
Oh, there we go.
All right, thank you, Marion. Looking for a second.
Seconded.
Thank you, Daniel. Lisa,
I'll abstain because I wasn't at that meeting.
that's right. I apologize. Fred,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Jonathan.
Abstain.
Oh, you weren't here either, huh? All right, well then I also vote to approve. And
We have
also,
October outstanding as well.
what's that?
I think we have October outstanding as well, don't we?
Well, it was approved both, right? Because that's what
Yeah,
it was.
I did October 1st, and then I'll do November separate, just so they're separate. And then additionally, November 16th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Looking for a motion for those or any changes anybody saw.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Marion. Looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Daniel. Lisa, you were here for these ones.
I was, so I would approve, but I would like it noted that I was not noted on the minutes, but I was at the meeting.
All right, so that is correction we'd like to add to that. Marion, do you agree that?
Right.
With the change?
Yes.
Okay. Fred,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
and Daniel, I think you seconded, so.
Yeah.
All right. On to item 4, old business. I don't think we have anything. Just double check with Zoe in case.
Hi, everything was good.
All righty. On to item number 5, new business, election of planning and zoning officers for 2024. So, quickly, we'll have to ask, is anybody interested in the chairman position, the vice chairman position, or I believe we have a secretary position as well. Okie dokie. So no one wants to volunteer, huh? All right, I will offer my hat up as chairman, if you guys would have me.
Yes.
Thank you, Jonathan. Is that a motion?
Consider yourself had, Tony.
I still have to make it official, so I need
Yes, I will make that in the form of a motion.
thank you, John.
I'll second that nomination, Tony.
Thank you, Alan. Lisa,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
and Daniel,
Yes.
and Marion.
Yes.
Okay, so as I think if you guys don't have anybody volunteering for the vice chairmanship, I'm gonna have to tell Alan he's got to do it because I volunteer him. So I'd like to make that motion. Just need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jonathan. Lisa,
Yes,
Fred,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes,
and Marion.
Yes.
Okay, we have a secretary, which is Jonathan. If you would like to continue, that'd be fantastic.
It is?
It is you.
Boy,
I went back and looked, and you volunteered back last year.
well, I don't know what that entails anymore. I think it's mostly honorary.
Yeah.
But I'm not your best choice for things like accuracy.
Well, it's nice to have you on here. So how about, I haven't heard anybody volunteering for the position, so if you're willing to keep
It
the
would
honorary
be-
position,
Well, it would be my pleasure.
fantastic. So I'm gonna make that motion.
Thank you.
Just need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Marion. Lisa,
yes,
Fred,
Yes.
Alan. Alan, you still there?
Yes.
No. Daniel
yes,
and Marion, you made the second, right? Alrighty.
This is
Um,
how it starts, Tony.
I know, it's all
You give
downhill.
it, it's a little quiet, yes.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, you're king.
Is that what this is?
Well, it's coming.
Oh, fantastic. I can't wait. I hope there's a pay increase.
It's
I think it doubles, Tony.
On to item B, establishment of the meeting schedule for 2024. So we have two of them. We have the regular the regular business meeting schedule. So we'll do that one first. You guys can see my screen. If anybody has any changes they'd like to make. If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Thank you,
Seconded.
Marion. Oh, who was second? Daniel?
Yeah.
All right. Lisa,
yes,
Fred,
Yes.
Alan,
Yep.
Jonathan.
yes.
Alrighty. One more, we get the joint land use commission's meeting. I sent this out to everybody just to make sure they were fine with this, but I do need, because it's our ad hoc committee, I do need a motion to approve. Here I have the wrong thing up, so. Give me 30 seconds and I'll see if I can find it.
Uh,
Oh boy, it loves to run really fast when Zoom is on here.
What, am I still on?
You are, give me.
Okay,
Meeting. Forgive me. Use commission. Is this it? Ah, there we go. So the joint land use commission meeting for 2024 schedule is before you. Anybody need any changes? If not, I need a motion to approve this.
well, they say 2023, Tony, so you mean 2024, right?
I do. It's funny, everybody on the land trust, on the Inland Mountains Commission all said this looked great. So I guess I will revise all those to the 2024.
can I make a motion? We accept it once they're revised to 2024.
Please and thank you. Second,
Are these dates correct for 2024?
they are, in my haste to get this out, I never changed the year.
Yep, okay. Just want to make sure it's a typo and not pick up the.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question.
Yep.
It doesn't really relate to the schedule, but
Yep.
the entire time I've been associated with this commission, and it says joint land use, and
Yep.
it does mention the Economic Development Commission. Has anyone yet I missed the last meeting, but by some miracle, has anyone yet from EDC come to one of these joint
No.
land use commission meetings?
No, Fred, but you know what? I have good news. I know at the last selectmen's meeting, they appointed Allison Sloan to the EDC. So I'm gonna personally harass her, and I'm hoping you will too, to come to some of these joint meetings. So I think that's,
Mm.
I think it's a good appointment for one, but I think that's gonna be helpful on our end. So anyway, just need a second for this.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Fred. Lisa,
Yes,
Alan,
Yes.
I think Jonathan, you made the motion, or was it Daniel?
I don't,
I made the motion.
Okay, Jonathan?
I'm lost here. I don't know what's going on.
All right, I'm gonna skip you then.
Thank you.
Marion,
Oh, there I am.
Oh, yes.
thank you, guys. All right, last thing on new business is the review of the bylaws. I know everybody had a chance to go through these and look for changes or anything they wanted to add or change. If not, I can postpone it to the next meeting. But again, we're supposed to do this yearly.
Mhm.
I mean, I've looked, I don't think we have them. We went through them in 2021, I don't think we've had any problem with them so far, so.
Tony, I think you're saying workable. I don't see anything that's, I don't think we need to make changes for the sake of making changes.
Okay,
Yeah, I think our bylaws are fine. They specify working with a planner. I think that's the part that's missing.
yes. All right. All right, if you guys are good, we will just, no need to vote on it, we can just bump it.
I over here.
What's that, John? Or, yeah,
At
John?
the- Yep,
All right, on to item 6, reports, ZEO. Zoe, that's you.
Hi.
Hey.
So I believe there were two things on my list. Sorry, I had this open, but so the one with 400 Commercial Drive, I believe we're going to be addressing that in more detail during the executive session with the lawyer.
Yep.
So I think I'll just leave that for then. And then besides that, I don't know if you saw in my email about commissioner training, but essentially there isn't like a strict, penalty for not doing the training. We're still kind of going to learn and see what happens if the training is not complete. However, it is possible that one scenario in which the lack of the training could be cited would be, if a decision is made by this commission and then it is appealed. Those appealing may cite the fact that the commissioners have not done their training as a, kind of a way to, so to basically argue in their favor. So that is one potential thing that we see. But in terms of like, right now, if you do not complete the training, X, Y, and Z will happen, or you're kicked off the commission or something. That is not, that is not the case. And besides that, no other major updates. Just some of the usual small violations of folks with lots of things in their front yards and somebody not opening their certified mail from us. So
Yeah.
I have a question about the training.
Mhm.
Isn't everybody on the commission except possibly Lisa, who just joined? We've all done it though, right? Or is there a name missing?
No, I have not
Yes,
done
sir.
it.
Oh, you haven't done it, Fred. All right, okay.
And trying to get into that is like trying to get tickets to Taylor Swift.
Well,
Twice
I
now
did the
I've
training.
applied.
The reason why I ask is John said it was
haven't.
all right. I did the clear training that was the PowerPoints, the things that were online. But
Yeah.
apart from when I first put in my email address, I mean, there was no like real recording of that. You know, I just kind of like sat through them and, you know, whatever. That's why I'm kind of curious of like, because I'm not sure if my name is there. I don't have a cool certificate like Alan does. Alan's
I know,
got-
right? I didn't get one of those either. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested in my friends going to Taylor Swift.
It's just
well,
that
I mean,
each time I've applied to it, they've told me it's all filled up and apply again or put your name on the list. And this time of year, I'm so damn busy, I didn't put my name on the list for a recontact. So I'm
But-
gonna need information on that again yet, but
So I'm in the same boat. I just emailed you, Zoe, and John this afternoon. John got back to me. I didn't read closely, but it looks like there's a self-guided online class that you can take that will complement the 4 hours that are required according to
Yeah,
what he.
that's my question.
I-
I'll ask John again because I did
Yeah.
that. But if it says, oh no, you have to do the other one, then I need to.
Just pencil with it, Dan. You'll be good.
Oh, I did it. I still have it saved on my phone. I showed John. It's like, this is the one, right? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we can, I'll check in with John and make sure that, you know, whatever it is that everyone has done is good. And if you're able to just email us some record of what it is that you did, you know, even if maybe you don't have like a certificate, but just something just so we have a record of it, just to say like, you know, this is what.
I guess I said that wrong. I was really saying is I want a certificate. Like Alan.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was the point.
Gotcha.
Great.
Yeah, I will look at why the one of the trainings that you guys did was not. It was just like a
It's on the Clear site, and you go-
okay.
but they had changed it when I initially did it. There was like it was a full presentation. Now the last time I went to look at it, it's just the slides.
Hmm.
So I don't know what goes on there, but I think John had worked on that himself, so he said that's why it was okay. So
I will say, if you get the opportunity to do the in-person one in Haddam, it's actually very good. They have some very good legal experts, and it's a very interactive one. And I think the ones I attended had, there were probably 40 commissioners from the region, and there was quite a bit of sharing of different issues which they're dealing with, which currently are or will be relevant to us as well. So if you do get the opportunity, I'd recommend it. It was actually very good.
that's the one I've tried to sign up for, and twice I've been
Yeah.
turned down.
I'll
What
look
would
at
be
that one.
really helpful, if we could have maybe a yearly report, I don't know, or maybe, when different cases come up to a judge and there's a ruling that might affect us. I
Marion,
don't know if either current zoning or whatever the group planning has, if they get a summary of the various cases, that might be helpful.
so I'm going to piggyback on that. I took the attorneys all put it on. It's and they do it every year up at in Middletown, and so they go over all the new court cases.
Ah,
And when I originally talked to John, he said that was good enough for the training because they covered all the stuff that was supposed to be in the training. They do have a book that they give you. I mean, it's a monster. It's quite a couple hundred pages. But you guys are more than welcome. I can bring it to the next meeting. And one other thing that goes with the training is there's also a book called What's Legally Required.
yeah.
And they just came out with a new one. And it literally deals with how the commission should function, how you intake applications, what the timeframes are, how you should act on them. So that's it. I'm going to order one and
So
bring
I
it to
had
the
purchased
meeting.
a copy of that, which you are welcome to.
There you go.
And or anybody's welcome to use it.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody needs to purchase it. It's a bit of a dry read.
But the little cheat sheet in the back is pretty good.
Mhm.
Right? Anybody else on commissioner training? All right, if not, POCD. Marion, that's all you.
Oh, sorry. We reviewed natural resources. I think our next meeting is January 2nd. I don't have a calendar in front of me. So we're gonna try to finalize that and then go on to economic development, which means I mentioned that it would be good to reread the EDC plan that's online, and maybe review their questionnaire as well as our questionnaire. And I don't know, hopefully, maybe somebody from EDC will attend. And
Like I
that
said-
will be in February, not in January, but just to give us enough time to start prepping.
But it might be good to send out a formal invitation too, just as a reminder. They ask them to present their input for the POCD. So if we give them a slot and say that they've, that we have expectations to receive their input for that component of the POCD, we might get a better response.
I think I'm gonna,
Maybe
So
our new-
noted.
Maybe our
Go
new selectman can put a little bit of incentive into that as well.
I was gonna say, and I think I'm gonna show up at their next meeting just to try and light a fire there. I think, like I said, I
EDC?
think with
Yeah.
Allison, we might have a little better input. All right, Marion, if you're good, or anybody's got questions for her?
No, I'm good.
All right, if not, on to attorney.
Actually, it may be good to invite Carol as well, as I know Angus attended some of our POCD meetings that may not be on Carol's radar. So
Agreed.
a good one to solicit her participation as well. And that might be incentive for EDC to attend too, if the first selectman is going to attend.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Alan, I'm sorry, I'm having problems with the audio on my computer, so I don't know what you said.
Can
So if
you
you
hear
could
me
just
better
give me
now?
a quick email, what you said after the meeting, then
Yeah.
I'll take you up on it.
Will do.
All right, anything else on POCD? If not, I'm gonna move on to attorney. All right, so Zoe, do we have anything from the attorney besides a little farther down?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's
Okay,
just,
just a placeholder.
yeah, are we still waiting on Ken to join us? Yeah, it looks like we are.
We are. Right, on to item 4, Chairman. Sorry, guys, I got nothing. But thank you for the opportunity to do this again for another year. Item 5, the budget. I don't think anything's changed from last year. We did slightly discuss the online permitting system. This year is the year that's paid for. I know they're implementing it. The Board of Finance was okay with it, and it looks like we have zero change on our budget from the year before. So everything looks good on that end. Item 6, the Rivercog Housing Committee.
Hey, Tony, can we back up to the budget quickly? At
Yeah.
one point in time, we had solicited some ARPA funds
Yes.
for various studies, which are in fact popping up in the discussions of the POCD. So in the discussion of the POCD, there's been recommendations for study and recommendations for actually having a planner, a town planner, which we will need to budget for. So although the ARPA funds were not allocated to these studies, Angus at the time spoke in favor and recommended pursuing grants to undertake those studies through a different mechanism. And I suspect that hasn't gone too far, but I think it would make sense to follow up on that and put that in context to our budget and maybe identify studies for subsequent years. I mean, we got the services funded to support the POCD, and we may follow up in our budget with studies for the parking and for other infrastructure initiatives, et cetera. So maybe we start feeding that into the subsequent budgets until we can put in place a permanent town planner.
Right.
But this would be the mechanism by which we demonstrate the need for planning activities to be funded. So I'd just like to not lose track of that. I know that there's a meeting scheduled too for reallocation of ARPA funds. So there might be some possibility of revisiting those funds if they haven't been allocated and expended. So I would, since those funds are being revisited, it might make sense to look at them. And if we are going to anticipate planning studies or planning efforts, we might want to do a longer range plan to get that built into our annual budget.
I think that's a good point, especially since the last POCD meeting harped on having a planner.
Right.
So,
and again, the reason it makes sense right now is we've got money for a planner to assist with a POCD for 2 subsequent years.
Mhm.
So if we continue on that track, it won't make our annual budget look different. That we have, continuous planning activities, just like we have, costs to perform the zoning activities. So it's just a way to
right. So next year, when the POCD is over, try and keep the budget the same as we are now.
Right.
No, I think it's a good
Or
idea.
even just increase the hours of the planner, maybe specifically to either work on grants or something, whether it's 3 hours or 6 hours a week, just to have it in there.
Yes, definitely. Because when I spoke with Angus about the need for the planner, he said, well, that's what Tyke is doing. They're the planner and the ZOE. And it's like, but that's
Right.
not the same thing that we're looking for.
Well, they're doing a great job, but they're just limited.
Oh, yeah, but it's just not the same thing.
Time.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't make it a bad thing. It's just not the same thing, right?
Right.
And it's not structured as a permanent thing either. It's kind of, we've kind of allocated them to specific tasks. I think it should be rolled into a more permanent annual budget that planning is allocated, not just a matter of we ask for it when we think we have something coming up.
Right.
I agree with you, Alan, and what you said earlier about the longer term plans. By making that part of a requirement, that in itself implies that we need somebody dedicated to it, not just on a per task basis. Somebody says, in order to get to 5 years from now, what can we do this year, next year, right? So that way we could put out those budgets 2 or 3 years, maybe in advance, with basic idea of need.
Right. Well, again, when we as we revisit the POCD, it'll identify all of these tasks for the planner and studies, which we can prioritize and begin to lay that out as a long range plan and the permanent need. So
like as most of you did, I attended the vote earlier this week, and I was fortunate enough with running my kids to the pool and everything. I didn't get there until 9 o'clock. So I only saw the beauty of the town pulling together to try to get to a solution. And I was pretty impressed with that. But the big thing I heard there was a lot of people kept saying, I didn't know where this was an issue and whether they were for or against or whatever, that they wanted to become involved. And I like it when things get, because that's exactly something that has to be planned. And of course, it's in the POCD and what to do, how to do.
Right.
But I think if we kind of focus everything like that, that's like, there's a reason for long term. It isn't just for the incremental building, which of course is important for a town our size, the lower budget, but it's to make sure that people are aware of why things need to happen and what needs to happen in the long term.
Communication.
Question, would this planner also be involved with EDC? Because
Hope
we
so.
can have all the plans we want, but if we don't have anybody selling this town to business development, the plans mean nothing.
Agreed.
I mean, it's already been said, there's new people in EDC to be approached, but I mean, that's,
There's one new person
Yeah,
who's
but
got a
that-
lot
I
of
mean, that
energy, but a
basically-
lot of
there's gonna
irons
have
in
to
the
be an
fire.
executive meeting called at some point, if we can't, at least form meetings where everybody shows up to work forward. Because any one of us, whether it's land use or art, you're absolutely right, Fred, we just become impotent if we aren't working together and not, not putting stuff in the same page.
Yeah, I agree. Fred's right. If we could say all these things all day long, but if nobody at EDC ever helps, I mean,
Right.
so hopefully there's a new regime. I mean, and there's somebody new on EDC. Again, it's only one person, but hopefully it's a step forward.
Yeah.
That's all we got at the moment. So
Well,
let's try and make it work.
Invite them, but I think if that doesn't work, we have to have a old-fashioned sit down, man.
I agree. So it's literally the first meeting, so we'll see. We'll give it a couple of meetings and see what happens. Worst case scenario, there's still a couple of chapters in the POCD we could always bump EDC a little farther down.
Well, there's always the possibility too, is where, we expect them to come to us. If that doesn't happen, we go to them, and we've done that before. We've gone to them, and it sometimes it'll take the initiative, but
Yeah.
Agreed, Fred. We do need their participation.
I think we need professional guidance for them and professional assistance.
I think so too. Maybe that goes in the POCD.
Well, yeah, that's what Fred had said about if we get the planner, then they
Yes.
become the captain of the ship, and then ideally we're all the crew on there, and they lead it.
We'll see what the new leadership pushes. They may engage them and do a little restructuring as well.
All right. Okie dokie. On to item 6. The Rivercog Housing Committee.
So at the Rivercog meeting, right after Thanksgiving, we had a speaker. It was Sarah Bird from Middlesex Habitat for Humanity, and she did a nice presentation. I think we all know what Habitat for Humanity is. I didn't see anything that directly applied to where we are currently with any projects, but it was good stuff to know. And then there was talk about the toolkit for single-family conversions, and that's going to be put up. And then there's more talk about how do we get that toolkit out, to all the P&Zs and everything, so that way it's something that can be used a bit better. There's only a couple things up there right now, and John's the one that put most of that stuff up there, so I haven't been too worried about making sure everybody has access, because John basically gives us the same stuff. But it's going forward, and they've made meetings scheduled for next year, so I guess they're thinking that this will continue. So that's basically it, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, that's it. All right. We were on to the executive session, but we're still waiting on our attorney. So we could take a 10-minute break if everybody's fine with that. We can hang out and sing carols like John suggested in one of the emails exchanges, but I don't think I'm up for that. I'm not a good caroler.
I have a question. Is this?
Yeah.
This isn't concerning. No, of course not. We had on the agenda last month, we were going to, unless I get my meetings confused, we were talking about having an amendment before we could accept the zoning from the river for the section over by the industrial park.
So
Yes, I don't see it on here. It was on there. We didn't get to it. But
yeah, so
bumped
that's
there.
what they want us to do, is adopt their lighting standards and a bunch of definitions. And that's why that was still on there. They have mentioned that they would like to rework the wording for the industrial area, but they're not willing to remove that area from their purview, which I personally don't agree with. But I'm not the whole commission, so
John was gonna
my holdout has
investigate
always
that.
been, you know what, you want your regulations changed, work with us on changing that zone line. And I know it's a hard change, but change is always hard. If you're unwilling to work with us,
Well, that's all we're asking, is to work with them. As I remember, there was discussion about some of the points, but everyone on the commission was in agreement with the 14 ... that they put up.
Yeah.
It's just there was the overlap to that section.
Yeah.
I just, well, I guess we'll have to wait for John, because
So
I don't see how us putting an extra amendment on there versus what they would like us to have. I mean, I don't know how they have anything to say about it, which I think John was going to investigate. And
Right.
we can put all kinds of, we are the commissioners. We can make the amendment on our zoning, so.
Correct.
I thought the
Well-
consensus was that we would adopt it and exclude the area we wanted excluded. Now, they have the ability to veto that, which would
Yes.
leave them with nothing.
Yes.
It would leave them without their recommendations in our regulations. Or they could choose not to veto it and accept our exclusion of that area. So I think that's what John was gonna look into, whether
Right.
that has, and I think that that's the correct way to go. If they want to make a bigger issue of it, then we have to revisit it. Otherwise, we have it in our regulations. We've got that area excluded, which demonstrates that we're not going to enforce those regulations within that industrial area. So effectively, we've got the regulations as we want to enforce them.
So I guess.
I think
was
you're right.
Status, so the status is until John, or do we put that to Zoe, or what is the status?
We were also going to look into the standards and how to enforce them and if they were enforceable.
Right. Yes, because we had the sound standards, and our attorney came in and said that those are great,
Right.
but they're unenforceable. So
Good luck
yes,
with that,
Right.
right?
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, forgive me, you're right that we did have this conversation before. But yeah, I do know that one of the conversations was to bump it to next month, just because of some of the stuff that was on this month with the elections and all that stuff. So I know that conversation did happen. I'm just checking my emails now. So I believe we'll see it back on next month.
Okay, I just don't want to see it to be lost, because I
Right.
think there's I think there's a way we can handle it, that might work. I guess I'm still trying to understand at what point they would appeal it, I mean, it's like if we voted, at what point? I mean, because we voted in the amendments, right? Isn't that like
Right.
that would be in our meeting?
Yes.
Do they just say, no, I don't, there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, it's above my pay grade, and it's a really high paid position here at the chairmanship. So, all right, we'll lean on, Zoe and John for this, so.
Yeah, I can follow up with any questions too. With this amendment, I think it also is a little bit relevant to some of the pending litigation discussion.
This
All
is
right.
Jonathan. Our new select lady is enthusiastic about economic development.
Good.
But it's going to take her a little bit to, get caught up. But I think we'll find her good to work with on that sector.
That's good to know. All right. So, I mean, we're at executive session. I don't see that Attorney Slater showed up yet. I know he had an additional meeting, so we're waiting for him to finish up to hop on here. If you guys want to take a 10-minute break, we can do that. If not, anything else you guys want to discuss since
Can we skip to the next item?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
the executive session deals with that directly.
Okay.
So how about we can skip over to payment of bills, but I don't think there are any.
We're very efficient.
We are. There's nothing wrong with that. That gets us one step closer to number 10. So I
Is
don't
that
think, go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was that?
If we don't have any bills, I'm gonna cross that off my list.
Nope, we're good.
Fantastic. All right. Gonna have to log into Netflix and throw on a movie. let's see here. Thank you, Daniel.
We've our cat has to go through a process tomorrow, so we've been letting her watch all their friends, the squirrels and the birds. It's nice.
I have 3 dogs outside the door who are supposed to be watching TV, but they're barking because the door is closed. They're not allowed in.
Hey, Tony?
Yeah.
Can I ask for a definition of something? It's in number 8. What is the definition of a solid waste volume reduction facility?
I believe there is a state definition, so I will get that for you. I'm glad you asked now.
It seems as though the world of planning and zoning,
Mm,
as with a lot of things, is expanding.
it is.
We didn't used to speak about EDC. In fact, in some people's views, that was a conflict. But now it's kind of accepted as something that at least partly is in our purview.
Well, I think for the planning part of it, yeah. You know, they're supposed to give us input. They want the world, and we narrow it down for them. And this hasn't happened.
Well, it's a shame because over in Old Lyme, I can't, every time I read in the paper, there in New London, they're taking advantage of these infrastructure such a bill, and they're putting in a new data center. Like we could have done a high-end data center. It's like they keep popping in these things. It's like, wow, that could have been us. That could have been us, or maybe us too.
But aren't some towns separating their planning from their zoning?
Yes.
And that's where the difference is. That's where EDC can work with planning and zoning still makes the rules.
The problem with that is you get some territorial ego. And some zoning commissions really resent a planning commission for suggesting things.
I agree.
Which is why some towns join the planning and zoning, so there's a little bit more consistency, may be the wrong word, but you lose the territorial.
That makes sense. Yeah, if you have the same people doing the planning and as deciding how to accommodate it, it's going to be a lot easier than trying to present it and sell it. And
right.
You
In
know
the
what?
past, I've dealt with this, where a planning
Well,
commission might want to
then
change
why
the
are we-
regulation to make something easier or maybe harder, and the zoning commission just dismisses it because it's not the planning commission's purview.
Then why do we have such poor economic development then if the planning is supposed to be doing that?
yeah, but EDC, they're the ones that they should come to us and say, hey, we want to bring in X,
Right.
Y, Z. And we're like, well, good, go get it. We'll find out. We can put it over here or we'll put it there.
Right.
And they're literally supposed to be talking to companies. They're supposed to be making it interesting for them. They're supposed to be selling us,
The town.
right? Well, us is the town, not
Yeah.
our faces, but but they're supposed to be selling the town and say, hey, yeah, this is a great place to put your XYZ, ideally something that the town would go for.
Right.
The new data center or new technology or or a new energy station for processing food scraps like they have in Stonington that makes money for Stonington and supplies part of their power. Or
Well, that's where it should be working. They should be working hand in glove with planning and zoning, and
Right.
instead they're an island unto themselves.
and that's where we're at, Fred.
So
The town has been, in the past, has been proactive, thinking specifically of the incubator building program out of Platwood Industrial Park.
That's ancient
So-
history though, Jonathan.
No, I know, but it just to say it can be done, and there was a lot of no, I'm sorry, I'm losing it.
All we have to do is drive around to other towns and see the development that's taking place there that's not taking place in Deep River, and that's where your answer is.
I'm with Fred on that. I mean, obviously we don't need to build any super towers or nothing like that, but there's some opportunities that we're missing out on by simply
Right.
not having everybody.
Right, we don't want to,
I mean, that's the bottom
nobody's gonna
line.
want a Walmart here.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying
We're
that,
not
but
gonna end up with a
Right.
Walmart. We're not gonna end up with drive-throughs, McDonald's. I think, right? But
Like, you
at
could get
the
a
same
Dollar
time,
General.
you know, they should be I mean, we don't, it's not in our charter to look at financial opportunities. Like we can say like, hey, we can zone an area and you can put in,
Yes.
again, a data center.
Right.
It's a simple thing in my mind, but
Yeah.
nobody on this board has the authority to go and approach data centers or,
Right.
you know, anybody needs to expand. And that's,
But you need that separation. That's the whole point of this. That's why EDC is supposed to do that, bring us a whole bunch of stuff, and we go, look, some of these are good, but some of them don't fit. Real quick before my phone shuts off. Solid waste means unwanted or discarded soil, liquid, semi-solid, or contained gaseous material, including but not limited to demolition debris, material burned or otherwise processed as a resource recovery facility or an incinerator, materials processed at a recycling facility, and the sludge or other residue from a water pollution abatement facility, water supply treatment plants, or air pollution control facilities. And then it goes on to say solid waste facility means any solid waste disposal area, volume reduction plant, transfer station, wood burning facility, biomedical waste treatment facility. So I hope that helps. I can forward that to you too, Fred.
yeah, because we added a C&D facility once in Deep River, and we know how that turned out.
Actually, I'll send it to everybody. Still no Ken, huh? Maybe you forgot.
What is the
Can we
subject?
shoot him a little email?
Yeah, would you?
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so I'm going to send everybody this piggybacking on the P&Z notice of agenda. So it's a link to the definitions from the DEP.
so technically our transfer
There's-
station is.
All right, so Ken is here. I'm admitting him. Let me just go through the list real quick. Let's
Just
see.
in time for me to not send an email.
Okay, can somebody else double check the list of people? I don't see anybody, but last time I almost didn't catch somebody. So if somebody else would look at the list of participants.
So, Tony, I'm seeing myself, you, Jonathan Kastner, Fred, Lisa Lou,
That's me.
Brian Phillips, Daniel Smith, Ken Slater just joined, Marion and Peter is Marion and Peter, Nancy,
Yeah.
and then Zoe. And that's the
Okay.
list that I see.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So we have to make a motion to go into executive session, and we have to invite Ken, Zoe, and Nancy, I believe.
I'll make that motion.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second that, Tony.
Thank you, Alan. Lisa,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes,
Jonathan,
Yes,
and Daniel.
Yes, yes.
All right, give me 1 second. I gotta hit stop on the record. I can never find this.